Welcome everybody. Today's little update is going to be on the spare fuel cell that I put in. So what I did was I bought one of these marine fuel tank selectors. So it'll go from one to the other. I can select over one to the other. I picked that up offline. It doesn't seem like anybody really carries it. And then what I had to do was that, as you can see, excuse my rat's nest of a wiring job. It's extremely complicated. What you can see is that you can see right here, right there, I have a hose hooked up to it. When I bought the fuel cell that I'm about to show you, the guy had 50 feet of this hose. It says air brake hose on it, but it's up to it's good up to 3,000 psi or something like that. And he said to use it as fuel line, and so I did, and it seems to be working fine. So this is my tank selector. You can see it has a selector, a little valve right here. You just turn it from here to here, and that selects from one to the other. And it has an option where if you turn it this direction all the way over, it will turn off. It means that there's no gas going anywhere in this, so it can be used as a kill switch. So because of the fact that the setup is extremely easy, what I've done is I haven't run the fuel cell that I have does not have a return line fitting on it. It just has a suction fitting. Well, not even really a suction fitting. It's at the very lowest point essentially of the fuel cell, so it's just gravity feeding into it. But these 22Rs, everybody knows Toyota. That's an 84 4Runner, by the way. Just so you know, solid axle 84, carburated, and the mechanical fuel pump I can easily just splice into, because it has an in, a return, and then to the carburetor. So obviously if I have two tanks, I just splice into the in, and I can switch between which one I want to go to it. So yeah, I know there's a little slight kink in the hose. Doesn't seem like there's anything I can do about that except make the hose longer. I guess I could do that, or put that somewhere else. It's a little bit cluttered right here. I know this is a giant mess, and it's a long complex explanation if I try. So aside from, there's an isolator here and two battery. That project is not quite done yet because I still have to figure out some wiring. Aside from that, this is my second tank. And so, because I have so much hose, it's kind of just, kind of just sitting on the floor. I'm gonna put it goes underneath the floor, rubber things. Right now it's just sitting on the floor, but it is going through there. Obviously I'm going to try and either gasket that up or use some sort of rubber grommet. Some way of fitting a larger rubber grommet in that, so that this does not wear through. But yeah, this is eventually going to sit behind something, because I have way too much more than I need, and obviously, I mean, it's pulling through all that, so it is putting my pump at a little bit of a disadvantage. But the thing that makes it a little bit better is that the tank back there, if you fill it up, the gas line's way above the actual pump itself. So it's actually going to try and level itself out. So it's going to flow straight into the carburetor. So, or to the pump, is what I'm saying. But yes, that's how I have it. I have it going underneath the seat right here. And then right there you can see it. It just goes right to the side, on the side of the passengers, or the rear passenger seat. And then let's go inside. Make sure the spare tire doesn't fall out. That's another thing. I have another tank that I want to put in here, right over here behind this, and I'm gonna have to find a rear tire carrier, because my spare tire's not gonna fit back here with those two tanks. So it's already plumbed up. It's just not bolted down. And it's got it's full of gas, so it's gonna sit pretty much right where it's at. And for the future, I might, there's a vent. This is the vent right here. It hasn't created, I don't think it's created enough pressure to actually cause any real problems. But it will be bolted down right there and in the front. I can just move it right now and I have enough line to actually not even worry about it. But you can see it has a gauge, and the gauge is almost full. Still got a little bit more. I basically filled it up until the actual gas pump stopped pumping, because it has the auto shut off. Yeah, and I just stuck it up in here, you know, brought it in through the back, stuck it in there and filled it up. But yeah, there's 20 gallons worth of gas in there. That wasn't cheap, especially not in California. But yes, this is a 20, the nearest I can figure it's 20 gallons. The tank underneath is 17. So I have around 37 gallons worth of gas that I can run. That's going to give me approximately 650 miles. If I'm just running light with nothing in it. So 650 miles ain't too bad. And what happens is that you have the return line here. And so what I did is that because there's no return feedback to the tanks, I have the return line obviously set up for the original tank. So when I pump out of the original tank, it's going to, any gas that does not get used is going to return through this feed line back to that tank, right? Well, when I switch over to the other tanks, there is no return feed. So it's just going to return back to my main tank. So once that's empty, I switch to the auxiliary tank, and it's going to actually feed back. So I'll actually have some, I'll actually start to see the gas gauge go up, because I don't have a fuel sender on that tank because it actually has a gauge itself I just showed you. So yeah, that's the update right now. So now this thing actually holds roughly 35 gallons worth of gas, and it actually works. So you know what, obviously, I mean, I can turn it on, I can show you guys, but really no point, because I know it works and I know it runs. So yeah, wanted to see, when I say I wrote A and then M, it's actually backwards. This is this main tank. Right now it's to the main tank, and then this is the auxiliary tank. And if anybody's wondering what this stuff is, this is called high-tack. It's a gasket like resistant sealant that Permatex makes. And I was told to just use it on all the threads, and I haven't had a leak yet. So it does not seem that there's a leak anywhere, even in the cab where the tank is. I use this all the way around. So yeah, I understand that everybody's asking why the hell you have so many attachments right here to hook up to the hose. Long story. They just did not have different parts, and I was at O'Reilly's and trying to get this done in one day. So yep. Just wanted to show everybody how everything is and what's going on. So this one is the newest edition, because I got tired of carrying crap California plastic cans. I don't know if I have the other one in there. Let me see. Do I have the other one in there? Yeah, this one right here. These things are crap. I've already broken both of the ones I had, and they were basically seeping the fumes into the cab, and it was just really bad. Now I actually have 20 gallons, and it does not smell like gas in here. It doesn't seem like there's enough pressure in the tank for it to vent out very bad. So, and I don't even know if the cap itself is vented. So if it's vented, then it's letting it out through there anyway. Yeah. So wanted to show everybody. Okay, so anybody who didn't believe that it didn't run, it runs, and it's actually selected to the auxiliary tank. So I want to make sure that the gas isn't coming out of this, or there's no suction being used anywhere in this. So you can see it's selected to the auxiliary tank. Like I told you, this was the main tank, because I mixed them up. So right now I'm going to take this off and make sure that there is no flow going through this, and if that's the case, leave it running and make sure that there's gas coming out of that. So that's basically how you test it. You got to check this out. Still running. I don't know how much gas is in the float bowl, but I guarantee it ain't that much. This is the main line. And yes, I know it's a rubber line, but my main lines, these ones right here, have a crimp in them because of, what is it? Long story short, my drive shaft came, the bolt sheared off and it came willy-nilly and nicked these lines on the side. And so now they're kinked. So I've been using hose lines for temporary at the moment. And you can see this line goes to my, you can feel a little bit, I feel a little bit of suction coming out because of the other lines that are hooked up to the tank, such as the return and the charcoal canister. But yeah, this is the feed line from their main tank. And you can see it's completely off this thing, and just this is hooked up to the auxiliary, and it's running. So there's no gas coming out the main tank. More proof that this thing works. I mean, like I said, I don't know how long it runs off the float bowl and the carburetor, but I guarantee it ain't longer than 5 minutes. But yeah, let's go check it out. Let's actually check out the tank. I want to check out the tank, see if the gas gauge is moving in any way, shape, or form. Don't worry about that. That's too tall for that. Let's see. Can we see the gas gauge? Yeah, it looks like the gas gauge is kind of moving. Or not even just that, it's actually moved. Because you have to remember, it's just sucking gas out of here. Any gas that gets fed back into my main tank. And I can actually see that my main tank is moved up slightly since we've been in here. Makes me wonder how much gas doesn't get used during the actual process. I've always wondered that, and maybe I'll be able to find out here. I can put a whole tank in here, same equivalent amount as this, run it, and then see how much actually returns into the tank. But yeah, so you can notice this kind of moved up because there's pressure now in the lines. Everything's good, everything's great. And you have to remember, inside these lines are steel line, inside these lines. So, DOT air brake, 3000 PSI. And obviously I'm only using a simple mechanical fuel pump, which is 5, 7, 8 PSI at the most. Less than 10. So all this stuff will run pretty freaking good. And it's good that I have a mechanical fuel pump in line, or is it pumping it, because it's a lot easier to splice in these things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now hook up my main thing, switch it back over to the main, and I'm good to go. So I hope everybody learned something today. And if you have a mechanical fuel pump, you can easily splice in another tank without having to mess with anything, really. So I hope you enjoyed and you learned something. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a nice night.